What would you do if the person you trusted most turned your deepest hope into a cruel joke? For Clara, that question wasn't hypothetical, it was her reality. At 38, she stood at the edge of a dream she'd fought for through years of heartbreak, only to face ridicule from the one person she never expected, her sister-in-law, Elise. But the truth behind Clara's pregnancy was a revelation that would unravel everything Elise thought she knew, forcing her to confront her own flaws in a way she never imagined. Clara had always been the quiet one in the family, the one who listened more than she spoke. Her husband, Mark, was her anchor, a steady, kind man whose love had carried her through the storms of 5 miscarriages over a decade. Each loss chipped away at her, leaving scars no one could see. By the time she reached her late 30s, the doctor's warnings were clear: another pregnancy could be dangerous, perhaps impossible. Yet Clara clung to a stubborn flicker of hope, a belief that her body could still cradle life. When she discovered she was pregnant again, at 38, it felt like a miracle. She and Mark kept it secret for months, guarding their fragile joy like a flame in a windstorm. Elise, Mark's younger sister, was the opposite of Clara: brash, outspoken, and fiercely opinionated. At 32, she was a mother of 2, her life a whirlwind of soccer practices and Instagram-perfect family photos. Elise had a way of making every conversation feel like a stage, her words sharp and her laughter louder than necessary. To her, Clara's reserved nature was a puzzle she could never solve, and she often teased Clara for being too serious or too old-fashioned. But when Clara finally shared the news of her pregnancy at a family dinner, she wasn't prepared for Elise's reaction. The dining room was warm with candlelight, the clink of glasses, and the hum of conversation. Clara's hands trembled as she stood, her voice soft but steady. "Mark and I have something to share," she said, her eyes meeting her husband's. "I'm pregnant." The room erupted in gasps and congratulations except for Elise. Her laugh cut through the joy like a knife. "Pregnant? At your age?" she said, her tone dripping with mockery. "Clara, come on. Isn't that a bit reckless? I mean, what's the plan, Grandma? Diapers?" The table fell silent. Clara's face burned, but she forced a smile, swallowing the hurt. Mark squeezed her hand, his jaw tight, but Elise didn't stop. "I'm just saying, it's a lot to handle when you're practically menopausal." The words stung, but Clara held her head high. She'd faced worse than Elise's cruelty. She'd faced empty cribs and hospital rooms. Still, the mockery lingered, a shadow over her joy. Elise's comments didn't end that night. At every family gathering, she found ways to jab at Clara's age, her risky pregnancy, her quiet optimism. "You're brave, I'll give you that," Elise would say, her smile sharp as glass. "But I wouldn't bet on miracles." Clara endured it, telling herself Elise didn't understand the weight of her journey. Mark urged her to confront his sister, but Clara refused. "She'll see," Clara whispered to him one night, her hand resting on her growing belly. "She'll understand when the time comes." The twist came unexpectedly, not from Clara, but from an unlikely source, Elise's own daughter, Lily. At 9 years old, Lily was a quiet, observant child, often overshadowed by her mother's larger-than-life presence. One afternoon, at a family picnic, Lily overheard her mother's latest jab at Clara. "She's too old to be a mom," Elise said to a cousin, rolling her eyes. Lily, who had been sitting nearby, drawing in the grass, stood up and walked to Clara's side. "Aunt Clara," she said, her voice small but clear, "I think you're going to be the best mom ever." The words stopped everyone. Elisa's face flushed, caught off guard by her daughter's defiance. Clara's eyes filled with tears as she hugged Lily, whispering, "Thank you, sweetheart." That moment shifted something in the family's dynamic. Lily's quiet courage exposed Elisa's cruelty in a way no adult could. For the first time, Elise looked uncertain, her confidence shaken by her own child's judgment. As Clara's due date approached, the tension between her and Elise grew. Clara focused on preparing for the baby, decorating a nursery with soft blues and yellows, while Elisa's comments became less frequent but no less cutting. The family tiptoed around the rift, hoping time would heal it. Then, 2 weeks before Clara's due date, everything changed. Clara was rushed to the hospital with complications preeclampsia, the doctors said. Her life and the baby's hung in the balance. Mark called the family, his voice breaking as he asked for prayers. Elise, hearing the news, felt a cold wave of guilt. For the first time, she saw the weight of her words, the pain she'd added to Clara's already heavy burden. In the hospital, Clara fought through fear and pain, her love for her unborn child fiercer than any doubt. After a grueling 48 hours, she gave birth to a healthy girl, whom she named Grace. The family gathered, their relief palpable, but Elise stayed away, wrestling with shame. It wasn't until a week later, when Clara was home, that Elise appeared at her door, unannounced. Her eyes were red, her usual bravado gone. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know, I didn't understand." Clara could have turned her away. She could have let Elise stew in her guilt. But instead, she invited her in, guiding her to the nursery where Grace slept. As Elise looked at the tiny, perfect girl, Clara spoke softly. "This pregnancy wasn't just about me being older, Elise. It was about hope. After 5 losses, I thought I'd never have this. Grace isn't just my miraculous proof that life doesn't follow anyone's timeline." Elisa's tears fell freely now. She confessed that her mockery came from her own fears of losing control, of not being enough for her own children. Clara listened, her heart softening. In that moment, they weren't just sisters-in-law, they were 2 women, flawed and human, finding common ground. The shocking truth wasn't just about Clara's pregnancy, it was about the resilience it represented, the courage to hope against all odds. Elisa's transformation wasn't instant, but it began that day. She started showing up for Clara, not with grand gestures, but with quiet acts of kindness, a meal dropped off, a gentle word to Lily about respecting others' journeys. Clara, in turn, found strength in forgiveness, understanding that Elisa's cruelty had been born of her own insecurities. Grace grew, her laughter filling the house, and Clara's bond with Elise deepened, not because the past was erased, but because they chose to move forward. Lily, too, became a bridge between them, her innocent wisdom a reminder of the power of empathy. The family learned that love isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, even when it's hard, even when you've been wrong. Clara's late pregnancy, once a target of mockery, became a testament to the beauty of second chances, not just for her, but for everyone who witnessed her journey. In the end, Clara's story wasn't just about a baby, it was about the courage to defy doubt, the grace to forgive, and the truth that hope can bloom in the unlikeliest of seasons. And for Elise, it was a lesson in humility, a chance to grow beyond her mistakes and embrace the messy, beautiful reality of family.